I'm gonna give it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I just caught a vibe with you, baby. Can't wait till I'm inside of you, baby. Waking up inside of you, baby. I just caught a vibe with you, baby. Can't wait till I'm inside of you, baby.
Welcome back, Powerheads. Here we are with another edition of the PowerWatch. We're coming back with Tommy, aka Force, episode 8. And of course, as usual, we have our man, it's me, Warhug, and my man, E-Dot, and the Visa. What you drinking, sir?
I'm drinking a cranberry lime polar seltzer. No alcohol for me tonight, gents.
Okay, damn.
Not because I already drank at the bar or anything, but...
You had a bad night at the Oscars?
I wasn't watching that shit. Kind of wish I did now.
Drink a little bit too much. You got smacked. What you drinking?
Got a little Sauvignon Blanc here from Cooper's Hawk Winery.
Here is the sin once game begins. It's the gin. All right, so let's move forward to this episode. We got Mrs. Soto. Everybody's rolling up with Mrs. Soto. So your boy Tommy's rolling up there, and he's like, I told you I'd be back. And she's like, you're such a mystery. And he's like, I got to make sure my people are in line first. So he's like, 55 a brick. And then Moisha pops up. And did I say Moisha or Moisha? But it's kind of close there, isn't it?
Very close, but yeah, Moisha.
That's kind of weird. That's like an off by an eye or something like that. But he shows up and he's like, so what's up? 55 a brick? What's going on? And obviously he hasn't sampled the drug yet. Like nobody else in the room, everybody else in the room has sampled the drug. So he's like, what are you talking about? It's so high. And he's like, man, it's worth it. And she's like, well, yes, it's the color change drug. And he's like, no, we took that out. So how do you know it's the same drug? What does your boy Tommy say?
Man, he said, because I don't sling no weak shit.
No trash. And next thing you know, so they're all looking for proof. And, they switch out the switchblade. And of course, it's your boy in the back. I can't remember his name, but he's always the first to dive into a bag of drugs.
Always.
Switchblade he doesn't stab anybody. He stabs bags and bricks. So he sniffed up and he's like, oh, it's the same. And then everybody's like, 55, I'll take 3. And so he's out of there successful. There we go. So your boy Tommy's, he's kind of summing up the business and he's like, man, everybody wants it. We got to go 24/7. And he's having bonding moments with your girl, Lillian and whatnot. He's saying, we got to bring in somebody. I'm thinking about bringing in my brother. And she's like, where did this come from? And he's like, keep it to yourself. Nobody else knows. She's like, that's so sweet. And he's like, shut up. So anyway, so he's like, you just can't let anybody else know. And she's like, 2 pasty ass, blonde haired, blue eyed dudes in the same spot. And nobody's going to notice? He said, I doubt it. Because she has no clue at this point.
No clue that his brother's black. Yeah.
No pasty, no blue eyes, none of that. And remember, it's going to come up later. But she said, I don't fuck white boys. So they're like, we got to get a little extra person. Then there was a little bit of friction almost developed between the doc and Liliana. Because Liliana's like, I'm getting tired, doing the stuff, working with the mix and whatnot. The doc is like, why you feel so tired, man? Just take a breather, get some hydration. And then she's like, no, man, I worked the other side of the fence. I was a courier. She said, that's how you got that? She said, well, I got this. I got bones broken. I got ribs smashed. And here's my pride and joy. And she shows the bullet hole.
She's like, I got shot. Yeah.
Right. And then she's like, I'm resilient as hell, Doc. And so she's taking pride in that. And then Doc was like, oh, you got a lucky horseshoe up your ass. And Lillian was like, no, you got.
There ain't no room for luck in this. There ain't no room for luck in this business at all.
Don't even believe in it for a second, because if you do, you're going to be slammed. And she said, I need you to understand that. Do you understand me? And Doc was like, yeah, I don't want my ass whipped in his lab. So I think you could kind of sum it up to that. Looks like there was an Oscar-style smack coming on the way. So we move on from there and we're moving on to the next joint. Your boy Tommy is sitting up there. He's doing some work over at Miriam's house. They're pulling up rugs. And then so he's like, what's wrong? And he's like, oh man, I'm just tired. I can't even talk about it no more. And then he's like, well, we conversating. And then so he's like, I don't want to talk about it. And he's like, okay, we were conversating and we were working. Now we ain't doing neither one. I guess it's about to get real funky. So JP doesn't want it to get funky. So he was like, let me switch this up and get a beer for both of us, cool us down a little bit. And then Tommy's just looking at him. He's like, why the hell you looking at me? And he's like, I'm thinking. He's like, it must hurt, don't it? You have no idea. So then he's like, well, you go inside.
But you got to think though, he was really sitting there debating on, obviously he knows his brother needs money. But at the same time, he's like, I've been trying to give him money and now he's not willing to take it anymore. The only way that I can get him this money is to bring him in.
Right. And so he's hitting him back with
internally.
He's hitting it back with the, I don't want to take any handouts. I'm trying to earn and whatnot. And you like a broken record. And then so Tommy's like, okay, man. I mean, I got to have somebody that I can trust to be the third cook and whatnot. Now, I'm trying to figure out, where is the doc in all this? I mean, are they going to let her know and to keep her in the mix? Or are they going to cut her a percentage for what they get? Or are they going to kill her? Or because Tommy doesn't seem like this type of dude who's killing a lot of females. Like he seems to be bonding with them and making business associates with them.
I don't know. I think you got to off the dock. She's loose in at this point. You got the recipe. Let's make sure that everybody knows the recipe. Let's perfect the recipe. Let's make sure everybody's got everything all mastered. And then I think you got to off the dock because she's too unpredictable.
There you go. Loose end, like you said. You got to tie that loose end down.
In the history of all the Power episode 8s, this was the least climactic episode ever. I was expecting, Power episode 8 is always just craziness. And this was a great episode. This wasn't that. This is the most turned down episode 8 of any Power series that I've ever watched. And I think that
what does that mean?
I don't know what it means because
they're trying to lull us to sleep.
Possibly. Yeah,
so we move forward. Your boy Sheamus, he's the man, in the middle of the mix of everything, also known as Bennigan. And Warshawski pulls him up. And he's like, I know what you're doing with the Flynns, and I want in. Now, he's coming kind of hard, ain't he? I mean, it's like, are you in the mafia, dude? Because he's like saying, all right, I'm going to keep it between us, because you got your eye on your sister's health and I got my eye on a boat and, a crib in the Hamptons. And I was like, oh, okay, you already let us know that, you're not really thinking about anybody else at this point. But then he goes, he wants 50% of the 100K your boy's pulling down. 50% for just keeping his mouth shut.
Unfortunately, I think the only way, you got to kill him. You got to kill him, because guess what? It's 50 this time. The second you give him that 50, it's going to be 75 the next time.
Because what did he say? And counting.
Yeah, and counting. At this point, you got to go to the Flynns and you got to be like, but you need the Flynns to kill him. You can't do it. You can't, because you can't get caught up with it. You need the Flynns to do it, and you got to say, hey, this dude's poking, prodding, and he thinks he's on to something, and y'all got to get rid of him.
Flynn is, he's been to the doctor, and, as a doc, I'm laughing. It wasn't even a marble. It looked like an eraser head-sized cancer, solitary, no kind of inflamed nose and nothing like that. It was stage 1 cancer, squamous cell cancer. And it's like, no way that's anything but a quick surgery. No chemo, no radiation. So
she said that. She said we caught it early. Another
powerism.
It's a powerism, but
But I mean, it's like, dude, you just plug it out. It's either you take the whole lobe or you take just a section. And it looked like, from what I saw, you can just take the section and he'd be done. But meanwhile, he's still like, I don't know if he's now trying to play it when he's talking to Paulie and his other cats about, he's probably going to die or whatever. I think he's trying to play them, trying to get that emotional pull in there.
Another powerism is that a little eraser size thing like that hasn't metastasized itself to anywhere else is also not going to cause him to be coughing up blood and, be passing out and like looking like he's like on his deathbed whenever his kids leave leave his office. So
that's called emphysema, which is already established. And that's called intoxication. So it's not the cancer. The cancer's not even doing anything right now. It is
not yet. Yeah, it's definitely not doing anything.
His lungs and his brain is jacked up. So, and that's why he's able to move like he is. I mean, if he was really like cancer was eating his body up, he wouldn't be in there shooting up serbs and whatnot. All right, so then we got, your boys sitting up there. He summons Claudia over there, and he's like, whatever you're doing, I'm going to crush you like a boot, like underneath my boot. She's like, okay, you bring that boot down. but you better be ready for a fight. She was all up in his grill, and she's taller than he is.
I don't know where it's coming from, but she's got a lot of audacity right now talking to her dad like that. Because I don't know. I don't know. One of my children talked to me like that. They might have caught a Will Smith on Chris Rock, but they'd had to go to their friends and be like, my dad just smacked the shit out of me. It'd have been the same thing.
Personally, I would have keep that information to myself because all I would need is the neighborhood kids ragging on me like they were Chris Rock. They'd be like, why your face swollen? I'd be like, I fell into a door. Moving forward, your boy Jannard is up to no good as usual. He's like, we got to get a hold of the drug. And he's like, I'm giving 20 bands to whoever can find out. And of course, winking and blinking, come back. Blackston, I was like, damn, dude, you were okay for a minute, but now you were like just as dumb as Marshall. And both of them come in and they're like, it's the Pilgrims have it. And then he's like, the Pilgrims? You mean they coming straight off the Mayflower and they trying to deal Dahlia? What are you talking about? This makes sense to me. And he's like, they got the big floppy hats. They always wearing long black robes and trench coats in the summertime and long beards. And he's like,
Hasidic Jews. My good Lord.
Right. So he's like, okay, let me give you this 20 bands. And then they're like this, well, how are we going to split that up? And he goes, 10 to you and 10 to you. And then y'all take the A train downtown and you jump off at Chicago University and go to history class. Something. That was some sadness. It was just dumbification, one after the other. It was crazy. Vic is like trying to, tell his dad, I'm not down to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and spy on Claudia to find out what she's up to. And meanwhile, he's like, well, why didn't you tell her you're sick? And he's like, well, because you're taking over for me. You got to know. So then he's like, okay, well, I'm taking over for you, but it's going to be with Gloria at my side. So, there's a big conversation about that. And then Paulie jumps in it later. And then, the coup de grace comes up because your boy summons Tommy to the crib. And he's like, look, you keep my son alive. So I think we need to bring you on board here with the Flynn clan. And he was like, oh, if I knew this was a business opportunity, I would have wore a suit. In the front of the suit, it would say a big sign saying, go fuck yourself. I was like, now we back to some Tommy action. And he's like, the way you handled yourself at Dr. Parker's, there's no way to ever do business with you. It's because how you roll. And then so he's rolling out and he's like, okay, well, let me tell you what I noticed at Dr. Parker's. I noticed Gloria's heart jump in her throat when she saw you. So it's obviously a woman sleeping in two men's beds. So he's trying to break them up like that. And Tommy hits back like, you don't understand. Your son and Gloria are in love. So he's obviously indicating to him because your boy Flay picks up stuff because, it's not like he has a met to the brain or anything. He picks up that, okay, he isn't sleeping with her anymore. It was just some past stuff. So then he's like, you're going to wish that you were still sleeping with her when she find out how it all goes down. And then so Tommy rolls out. Everybody is telling him that Vic is in love with Gloria and Gloria's in love with Vic. So he pulls Paulie to the side and he's like, I want you to cancel that girlfriend thing. And what did Paulie say?
I said, I never put it on, which is funny because he had already taken care of the Serbs thinking that Paulie put it on. They shot at his boy trying to get at her. And so he had already gone and handled them. So in his mind, he had already told Uncle Paulie to put the hit out on Vic's girl. So he's thinking, y'all dumb asses went and shot at my son, so now I'm gonna handle y'all. When in realistic, Uncle Paulie never put the hit out. They went after him, they went after Vic on their own. And then he went and killed him. So we're gonna see later how that all plays out because it was never something that was put in motion.
All right, so Claudia and Tommy have that little conversation. What are we doing with the whole CBI crew? We need to get down with the CBIs and whatnot. And then, because she's just like, but they got the pipeline. And Tommy's like, look, man, I'm going to let them settle because they got to kind of go figure out what way they're going to go together or apart because I don't want Jannard to have no part of this. Diamond is my guy, but I don't want Jannard having any of this. As usual, Tommy busted on her before and said, this all goes away. The last time she was doing her own shit, but she's going ahead and doing her own shit again. And she rolls up on Diamond in the spot. And she's like, you need to go ahead and get with this drug I got this new stuff, and it's just going to open everything up. And you could just use it and shoot it through the pipeline, and we'll cut you in for 10%. But Dime is smart as shit, because he always can judge people off the top. And he goes, okay, really? So you're only offering me 10%, which means you have partners, and your partners are not with you right now. So you're doing this behind their back, and that's already setting us up on the wrong foot. Bye-bye.
Very bad for business. He's like, because at that point, Diamond's sitting up there thinking, I don't know who I'm getting in bed with. I think he thinks he knows who he's getting in bed with. You know what I mean? Because, he's alluded to Dahlia and Tommy in, previous episodes, but because he doesn't know, he's like, look, 10% means you got a partner. That partner not here.
So then he's like, no deal. So she said, now, he's like, is this Dahlia? And she's like, goodbye, Diamond. All right. So Tommy, meanwhile, he's like, I got to do the right thing. And he's banging on Vic's door, which, by the way, is a nice converted church with all the stained glass. And that crib was flying. So he comes up in there and he's like, you and Gloria gotta leave town. I just met with, with Flynn. I got this key, this car right here. Use this key. It's sitting out front. It's untraceable. You have a clean license on it, clean registration, and I removed the GPS from it. Next thing you know, he leaves. Paulie comes in the door. And Paulie's like misstepping like a mug. He don't even know what he's doing because he's up there and he's telling him, I just wanted to let you know that your father tried to offer a place in the organization for Tom. Now, he didn't say that he told him to go fuck himself, because maybe he didn't hear that. Who knows? But either way, what's happening is he put a bug in your boy Vic's ear. And now Vic's like, I knew I couldn't trust him. So now he's getting ready to roll out and snatch Gloria up, but he grabs the wrong key on purpose. But that's a traceable car, isn't it? Yep. So he rolls out. And they all lovey-dovey. And next thing you know, smash. And then big ass Sir with the long ass beard, he's going in and firing on him. Meanwhile, Glory gets hit and she gets in the cheekbone. There's only one person to survive a cheekbone hit, and that's 50 Cent.
I'm about to say 50 Cent.
50 Cent. Because
Bullet must have had a outward trajectory when it hit him. Because otherwise, that's not going to happen. It had to have come like that, going through the cheekbone and out.
Well, what you don't know is that 50 has a bobblehead, and he doesn't really show it that much. He kind of tapes it down. But what happens is a lot of times it's going like this. And when the bullet went in, he was bobbleheading and it was bouncing all around his skull and never hit his brain. So that's how he survived with a wire in his mouth like this, and he was rapping like that for kind of like Kanye and whatnot. Moving forward from there, your boy Vic is crushed. Meanwhile, Tommy goes back to talking to Claudia, and Claudia's like, I'm tired of playing it back. And then he's like, okay. And so next thing you know, is like, she's like, okay, so what do you propose? You work the clubs, I work the streets. And she's like, oh, wow, yeah, let's do this. And then he's like, and you deserve it. Liliana is giving him little code words on how to relate to people. PJ and Liliana are hitting it off quite a bit. And she's like, say my name again, Liliana. And then, so she's getting all googly and whatnot. Maybe barking up the wrong tree, but
I was about to say, I don't think she realizes that she's barking up the wrong tree.
Liliana could probably flip a nigga. That's what I'm saying. She might be able to do it.
I don't think she could flip him.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of strong tendencies of him in any direction. He just said he had an ex-husband, but as far as anything else, he hasn't been flamboyant. He hasn't shown us anything. He hasn't been in any scenes where he's looking at dudes, nothing. So, he may be just one of those dudes who be straddling on the fence, fell into a marriage with a dude, and just like...
Fell into a marriage with a dude is what we're going with? Wow.
It's a phase.
Wow. Wow. Jesus Christ.
Well, the dude broke his heart though, right?
Fell into a marriage with a dude? Jesus Christ.
Is it like that situation that Dave Chappelle was talking about? Once you fuck a monkey, you never go back. It's not back and forth from monkey to human. From then on, it's like monkey. Would you like to meet my monkey?
We're going to get canceled for this, by the way, just so I hope you know that.
I was not associating anybody's preference or anybody's way of life or chosen lifestyle or genetic lifestyle with any form of monkey, but it was just more kind of like relating it to when you're heading in a certain direction and you don't really deviate from the direction you're heading. Meanwhile, D-Mac pulls up on Tommy and he's like, yeah, man, I'm trying to, I'm not with CBI anymore. I want to work with you. And he's like, yeah, well, what can you do? He's like, I'm a mad genius with numbers. And then he just starts beating him on a calculator. And then next thing you know, he throws a drug equation in there without the calculator. And he's like, it all depends on whether or not you talk about the metric system. And if you do, it throws it off by 0.75. He's like, I got a job for you, kid. And guess what? Tommy don't trust nobody. So he follows
nobody, but that math was real.
So he follows him, and he was like Rain Man. He's like 5,422, 130, Judge Wapner. But anyway,
there ain't too many people that could do that equation off the top of their head without paper. Trust me, I was great in math. I was very good at math. Okay, but I tested out. I was so good. I tested out of math when I went to college. Didn't have to take a single math class. Guess what? I can't do that equation. Can't nobody do that equation there.
I did see you in the Math Olympics a couple years ago.
I was a math lead.
How did I do that? Meanwhile, he goes ahead and he follows him to the stash box. He opens the stash box and he sees that PJ is D-Mac's dad. So he's keeping that under the collar. He's keeping that under wraps. Miriam dies. So your boy is like, you got to call Kate. And he's like, I can't call Kate. And so at the end of the episode, he apparently gave the number to PJ. So PJ came in with, it's your son. And so she's like, what?
I mean, in movies and TV shows, because it's like, she was just okay. And the second he leaves the room to ask a question, all of a sudden she codes. Like the second he leaves the room, like it's so dramatic.
Yep, timing. Yep. Meanwhile, so Jannard knows where, he knows that his city Jews got some action going on there. So what does he do? In broad daylight.
He damn near did swim like Denzel in American Gangster. Like he just walked up broad daylight, didn't care who was around, boom, done.
But here's the dumb shit. Because Jannard goes back and forth between intellectually challenged and IQ below 70 and smart shit. So this is the dumb shit because he did that shit and then he looks up and sees the camera. Then he puts his hoodie on after his face has already been recorded. So meanwhile, the city Jews know, and that's probably who's putting the gun to the bag of Diamond's head in the next episode because they're like, these two are brothers, so we know what's going on.
And then Jannard runs down to Gary and he meets with the Gary connection and he shows them Dahlia. They dig it. They make an agreement and all he's asking for is bodies and bullets. So that means when he calls, it's time to come and waste everybody who's in the way of them getting more Dahlia. So he gives them the package in exchange for that.
That's what's going on with the coming attractions. It looks like some of them just coming straight off the plane from Ireland and whatnot. You're ready to get busy and whatnot. These guys getting ready to roll in. Tommy's bugging. Everybody's tripping out. So here we go, man. It's about to get down with a new episode. Predictions
are Vic's gonna think his dad was responsible for what happened to Gloria. And I think it's gonna cause a rift in the family. And I don't think he'll ever tell his dad, even if he were to find out, he'll never tell his dad what his sister's into.
There you go. And hey, what is going on? Because they're doing camera tricks on us, but they're trying to make us think your boy Tommy is negotiating with the Serbs and is at to fight Flynn and all that. So we don't know what's going on.
Like I said, I just think that at the end of the day, this was was the worst episode 8 Power has ever put out. It did not have any of the action and suspense. Somebody always dies in episode 8, but at the end of the day, the person that died this time in episode 8 isn't a person that makes a dramatic difference in the storyline. So, yeah, cool, you killed the love interest of Vic and potentially Tommy, but Tommy not gonna get upset over that because Tommy's not gonna mess up his business.
All right, well, here we go, Powerheads. We can't wait for episode 9, but here's my prediction. We only got 2 episodes left, and we have yet to see somebody. Who is that? 2-Bit.
Oh, 2-Bit, yeah.
2-Bit, 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 2-Bit.
By the way, I got the Hugh Hefner's on, I got the Hugh Hefner pipe too. It's like, bring me a drink.
Since when the hell do you smoke pipe tobacco?
Very rarely. It's not good for you. Smoking is bad for you.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm turning into Flynn. All right. You.